In the deep storage rooms of the United States Patent Office, within the leather-bound collections of the British Patent Library, and scattered through the aging administrative archive of Second Empire France, there are records that feel almost out of place in history. They contain carefully drawn schematics of flying machines, powered aircraft, steerable airships, controllable gliders, submitted, reviewed, approved, and officially patented. The strange part is not that these designs exist, it's when they were filed. Many predate the Wright brothers by decades. Some come from a time before reliable internal combustion engines. A few even appear before the widespread use of the telegraph. Yet the paperwork is real, the witnesses signed, the authorities endorsed them, and in several instances, the machines themselves reportedly left the ground. Today, we examine 10 of these overlooked cases, 10 patented flying machines from before 1880. Designs so advanced that, even with modern engineering tools, no one has been able to recreate them exactly as originally described. That leads to an uncomfortable question, rarely voiced in academic circles. What knowledge did these inventors possess that hasn't fully carried forward? Before we continue, a quick note. If explorations like this, digging into overlooked corners of history, are what brought you here, consider subscribing and enabling notifications. Each episode aims to revisit the parts of the past that quietly slipped through the cracks. The more people asking questions, the harder those questions become to ignore. Now, let's begin. The century between roughly 1780 and 1880 sits in an odd place in history. It's typically portrayed as a time of horse-drawn travel and dimly lit streets, when human flight was little more than imagination and balloons drifted helplessly with the wind. According to the conventional narrative, controlled, powered flight had to wait until the early 20th century, until engines, metallurgy, and 2 bicycle mechanics in Ohio changed everything. But the patent archives suggest a very different picture. They reveal dozens of inventors working independently across multiple countries, all pursuing the same goal. Some failed, some achieved partial success, and some appear to have flown briefly, convincingly, and then vanished from mainstream history. Their patents were filed away, their machines dismantled, their notes lost, often under suspiciously convenient circumstances. What remains are fragments. We start in 1754, in St. Petersburg. A scholar named Mikhail Vasilievich Lomonosov presented a device to the Russian Academy of Sciences, a compact mechanism with 2 sets of horizontal rotors stacked vertically, spinning in opposite directions and powered by a wound spring. He described it as an aerodynamic machine. According to the official minutes, it lifted itself into the air indoors under its own power. This occurred nearly a century and a half before Kitty Hawk. Lomonosov wasn't an obscure figure. He was a leading intellectual of his time, founder of Moscow State University, and a pioneer in multiple scientific disciplines. Yet the device itself disappeared. Only partial descriptions and sketches remain. Modern attempts to recreate it produce lift, but never to the extent he claimed. Something about the original construction, its balance, materials, or configuration, remains elusive. Then, in 1799, a young English aristocrat named George Cayley sketched a concept onto a silver disc. One side illustrated the 4 fundamental forces of flight. The other depicted a fixed-wing aircraft with control surfaces. Cayley spent his life refining these ideas. By the early 1800s, he had built gliders capable of carrying human passengers. Replicas of his designs still fly today, but they don't quite match the performance he recorded. His original materials, carefully selected wood, precisely tensioned fabric, are gone. The subtle craftsmanship behind them hasn't been fully replicated. In 1842, William Samuel Henson patented a machine called the Ariel. The design looks strikingly modern: monoplane wings, a fuselage, tail controls, even landing gear. It was intended as part of an ambitious plan for global air transport. The only missing piece was a sufficiently lightweight engine. His partner John Stringfellow worked to build one, but the original engine plans were lost. Stringfellow himself later demonstrated a steam-powered model aircraft that achieved powered flight indoors in 1848. Witnessed, documented, and reported, yet largely absent from popular history. His engine relied on a specialized boiler design he never fully documented. Modern reconstructions haven't matched its reported efficiency. In 1852, Henry Giffard piloted a steam-powered airship across France, successfully steering it against the wind. It was the first powered, controlled flight. The event was widely covered at the time, yet the exact engineering details of his engine were never fully preserved. Other inventors followed. Félix du Temple patented and tested powered aircraft designs in the 1850s and 1870s. Jean-Marie Lebris built gliders inspired by seabirds and reportedly achieved sustained flight. Solomon Andrews developed a propulsion-free airship controlled by buoyancy shifts. Each left behind patents and partial documentation, but critical details were always missing. A pattern begins to emerge. The external designs survive the shapes, the concepts, the principles. But the crucial elements that made them work, the precise materials, techniques, or intuitive adjustments, are consistently absent. In 1871, Alphonse Pénaud demonstrated a small rubber-powered model aircraft that flew in a stable, controlled manner. He later designed a full-scale passenger aircraft but never completed it. His final notes, believed to contain key technical insights, vanished after his death. In 1875, Thomas Moy tested a steam-powered aircraft on a circular track. It briefly lifted off the ground under its own power. Photographs exist, the machine itself does not. These 10 examples are only a fraction of what's recorded. The patent archives contain hundreds of early aviation concepts from across the world. Many came from respected engineers, scientists, and military officers, not fringe inventors. The commonly accepted story of flight begins in 1903 with the Wright brothers. It's a clean narrative, a single breakthrough, a clear starting point. But the historical record is far less tidy. It shows a gradual, international effort, one that produced real results long before that famous flight at Kitty Hawk. So why are these earlier achievements largely forgotten? One explanation is economic. Technologies that didn't align with the industrial systems of the time, those that didn't rely on large-scale manufacturing or fuel consumption, may simply have been overlooked. Without financial backing, they faded away. Another theory suggests something more unusual, that some of these inventors were rediscovering fragments of older knowledge, techniques, and ideas that had been lost over time. In that view, their patents represent isolated pieces of a larger system we no longer fully understand. Whatever the explanation, the evidence remains. These machines were designed, built, and in some cases flown. Yet they sit outside the standard timeline of aviation history. Perhaps the most important takeaway isn't that history is wrong, but that it's incomplete. The next time you encounter an old model aircraft in a museum, pause for a moment, look at the date, consider the person who built it, and ask yourself what details might have been lost along the way. Human flight didn't suddenly begin in 1903. It emerged gradually through the efforts of many individuals whose contributions are now only partially remembered. The 10 machines we've explored are among the few pieces still visible. Everything else lies in the gaps.